Laughing aloud now, magic in the air. Wands roll around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so wizardful.
Wizards of the Coast news for Wednesday, December 18th at almost 9 o'clock in the morning because I'm running late. Good morning and welcome. Hello, how are you? Happy holidays. And it's time for that favorite TV show. That's So Wizards. That's So Wizards has been filmed on a live studio audience consisting of Steve the Cat. What's up? So yeah, pretty quiet week for our friends over at the Coast. We've got an announcement of a new playtest, which is a little weird. And that's available on D&D Beyond in case you actually want to check it out. We've got, of course, more people complaining about how it's dark, the dark past of Wizards and D&D. Oh, D&D's got such a dark, horrible past. Apparently, Chris Perkins is boring. 2 new products got inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Wizards. That's a good thing. I mean, Hasbro, Transformers, and My Little Pony just got inducted into the Toy Hall of Fame. Hasbro stock is still up. It's not up where it was, but it's still up. It's about $10 there from where it was a year ago. So I guess the Elon Musk / news of the lawsuit are helping, not hurting stock. In fact, this morning, Wall Street advisors suggested inventing. I can't talk this morning. Putting your money on Hasbro stock. So why would we do that? I mean, I don't think the Elon Musk thing is going to happen. We know there's a major lawsuit, and now we also know people are suing Hasbro because of the lawsuit. So we've got a lawsuit and we've got now class action suits as well. Why would Hasbro be a recommended stock to invest in if it's going to go down? I normally don't think stocks go up when, you're being investigated for fraud. Okay, so they've announced a new playtest for the updated Artificer. I thought the Artificer was already out, but I was reminded that no, the 6th edition Player's Handbook does not have the Artificer in it. It was taken out at the last minute. I didn't know that, so my mistake on there. So this would be the new playtest to update the Artificer that was previously playtested. This would be the 3rd errata for the Player's Handbook. I don't really know because there's no product coming out in 2025 that would make us think we're going to see new classes. And it's weird that nobody has commented on the fact that in 2025 we're not getting any adventures. Unless, of course, they're fibbing about the release dates. What? Wizards of the Coast fib about the release dates? What? Wizards of the Coast make a product and not tell you it's going to come out till the last second? That's never happened before. Oh, wait. Yeah, it has. All right, so let's just double check. We're going to go over to our friends at EN World and see what the release dates are. So, as of now, according to Hasbro, we have the Monster Manual coming out on February 18th, 2025, which again makes no sense. No sense. Why would you release it last? It was the easiest book to do. But I'm an idiot, so what do I know? And then we've got the Dragon Anthology coming out July 1st, 2025. Remember, this is the book that's going to contain all the information on the dragons because never before has Wizards of the Coast or Dungeons & Dragons ever, this is their words, not mine, ever given us a idea of the personalities and where the dragons live. Never before. So this will be the first time ever in the history of D&D that they've ever done that. Yes, I know it literally says in every iteration of the Monster Manual, the general where these dragons live and personalities, usually in the first paragraph. of each entry, plus hundreds of modules and adventures, plus the fact that they put out a dragon book already within the last 2 years. But in the weird limited imagination / history of Wizards of the Coast's ability to not remember anything that happened less than 3 seconds ago, they never did that. That never happened. So that's coming out again. Dragon Anthology with the brand new dragons. Now, the reason for changing the dragons does make sense. The way they're doing it is stupid, but changing the visual appearance and changing the Dungeons and Dragons origins and stuff like that does make sense, because that way Wizards of the Coast dragons can be unique to Wizards of the Coast. They can't be anybody else's dragons, and nobody in the past can say, oh, that's my dragon, I'm suing you because you're using my dragon, or you're using dragons as they appeared in Lord of the Rings or whatever. So changing the physical appearance of the dragons, changing how they, live, think, breathe, whatever, to make them unique to Wizards makes sense. That way, going forward, anytime a dragon appears in a Wizards of the Coast product, it is a Wizards of the Coast dragon, and nobody else can say anything about it. So that kind of makes sense. That way you're marketing your dragon, and every dragon you put out, picture, toy, whatever, is 100% yours. Totally makes sense. Telling people that they've never, ever told us the personalities, lifestyles, or biomes of the dragons before, and this is the very first time, that's dumb. That's an outright lie. But okay. Moving on. Then in October, we will have the updated starter set. I didn't know there was a regular starter set, but they'll have the updated starter set. And that will feature, a little box with dice and a starter adventure and some other thingies. But whatever, this will be the 6th edition starter set. I don't know if it'll have Minds of Fendelver on it. It is being called Heroes of the Borderlands. So this might present us with the reimagined version of Keep on the Borderland that they said they were making, which would have been Minds of Fendelver. Yeah, I know. But instead, we're getting a revised Wizards of the Coast, homogenized version of Keep on the Borderlands. Some people out there are excited. Oh, yeah, Keep on the Borderlands. I've never had a chance to get that before. This will be my first time ever. It doesn't exist. And for the 3 people on the earth who are saying that, it's like, dude, you can literally get Keep on the Borderlands PDF POD from drive-thru for like $4. You could also get that complete Keep on the Borderlands thing that Goodman Games put out. It's still available on eBay, and there's still a couple of copies floating around that you can get for like $40. Or you could get the single best product Wizards of the Coast has ever made for D&D, 5th edition, Minds of Fendelver, which is freaking awesome, and I don't know why they're not just redoing that. Just focus D&D 2026 on the Minds of Fendelver campaign world. But nope. And then we have Forgotten Realms Player's Guide coming out November 1st, and Forgotten Realms Campaign Guide coming out November 1st of 2025. And that's everything that they claim is coming out in 2025. So no adventures. Weird. Sad. Weird. Now, we know that history has shown us time and time again that when Wizards of the Coast makes that list, then they'll surprise us with a new product. So will the Artificer be in the new product that will surprise us in 2025? Or is it for a 2026 product, perhaps another splat book filled with the 40 player character classes that we forgot? Here's Unearthed Arcana 2025-2026. Do we need an Artificer in D&D? I mean, I think people have complained about it time and time again for being broken, but okay, whatever. I mean, it's not the worst thing Wizards of the Coast can do this week. In good news, My Little Pony and Transformers were inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame because Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro make toys. It's a frickin' toy. So yeah, that's good news. I guess that will guarantee some lifeblood for My Little Pony and Transformers. Wizards also opened a Transformers Peppa the Pig exclusive store as a pop-up store in London, of all places, because I guess Transformers and Peppa are big in London, but not here in the US. Anywhere? I mean, why London? I don't know. I don't know why London. I can't think of any. I mean, Peppa is sort of British, isn't she? I guess. So maybe that's why. I mean, I could understand why Peppa would be in a London exclusive pop-up store. I'm not sure why Transformers would be a London exclusive. Transformers. I mean, Transformers is pretty much USA, right? We took the anime, the Beast King anime, and the Combiner anime, meshed it together to create what we know as Transformers here in America, which is completely separate from the animes they are based on. You know, in Japan, Optimus Prime is called God Bomber. So in one of the animes. So yeah. God Bomber. Yeah. So yeah. Peppa the Pig Transformers exclusive pop-up toy store somewhere in London. So if you're in London right now and you're a fan of Hasbro type stuff, check it out. I'm sure there's other Hasbro stuff at the store as well, but mostly it's going to be Peppa the Pig and Transformers. Again, question mark, question mark, question mark. Kicking a dead horse, Screen Rant has once again released another article about how Wizards of the Coast needs to get rid of the dark history associated with Dungeons and Dragons. And you can go over to our friends Dracoya and the Pickled Dragons site and listen to them talk about the article. And Screen Rant is totally the kind of people who should be talking about what's going on in Dungeons and Dragons, you know, because they talk about film gossip and filmmaking and movies. And who better to tell you about the dark, twisted, corrupt history of our hobby besides Screen Rant? I mean, I'm sure there's somebody who's better qualified, but no, Screen Rant. So we've heard this story ad infinitum now about the imaginary history of Dungeons and Dragons being this, you know, racist, sexist, homophobic, gatekeeping stuff, and how the old school are still perpetrating that horrible history. And Wizards of the Coast, in their infinite wisdom, has, you know, made the universe safe to play D&D, but they haven't gone far enough. They haven't become inclusive enough. They need to be more inclusive. They need to just completely erase that history. I don't know how. First, that never happened, okay? It has been proven time and time again by people far smarter than me, and again, recently, people from all over the world who have come forward and said, that never happened, okay? Those things you claim we did at the D&D table never happened. In fact, 99% of the stories that have come out are Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop role-playing games were the only place I felt accepted. It was the only place where you could find people from all walks of life sitting together. We didn't care about all that superficial stuff as long as you wanted to play. Didn't even see things. I don't know. I played for 16 years with that person. They were trans? I never noticed, nor did I care. Yeah, I mean, we were just a bunch of geeky-its sitting around rolling dice and going through dungeons and saving the world and being silly. It was an amazing, embracing community that anybody and their dog was welcome to come up. And we just did not see any of these superficial things. And this dark history that Screen Rant says we have to get rid of never happened, Screen Rant. Never happened. Stick to movies. And besides, how are we supposed to make it go away? Time machine? Gigantic magic eraser? Gag orders? I mean, nothing we do are going to make people stop making these accusations about the old school. In fact, the latest is that the old school are a bunch of communist liars who are single-handedly responsible for the death of Dungeons and Dragons. Congratulations. It's the last time I checked, most of the people in the old school are conservative, like Diversity and Dragons and DM Bloodworth and DM James and some of the others. So for them to be called communist liars and single-handedly responsible for the death of Dungeons and Dragons, I'm sure will be interesting. And finally, we have a PSA regarding the health and mental welfare about good old boring Chris Perkins. So Chris Perkins has been doing his last run of Dungeon Master tips, Dungeon Master advice, stuff like that. And people who have seen it has said, well, it's kind of boring. He doesn't really know what he's talking about anymore. It's really not that interesting. He looks kind of sad. Is there something wrong with him? So yeah, now we do know that Chris Perkins is done being in front of the Dungeons and Dragons camera. He is stepping away to do other stuff behind the scenes. So he won't be doing as much creative stuff. He'll be working behind the scenes, which means we'll see less of him on camera. We'll see less of him at the the conferences. We'll see less of him in those little fireside chats with Crawford and Todd, because he's going to be doing that, other stuff. Slowly moving away from Dungeons and Dragons. Something I've suggested Mr. Perkins should do for a while now. So he's been doing these DM advice things for a long time, and he did his last one, and people said it was boring. It was uninteresting. It was sad. It was just standard, repeat what it says in the new Dungeon Master's Guide about safety tools and making Dungeons and Dragons 2025 all safe and marshmallowy and comfy and whatever. And it sounds like he's just reading a script. And, I've said this a lot. If you just look at comments. Hello. That's from Dice Tales. Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons was the most accepting community we encountered in the 70s and 80s. Absolutely 100% true. So if you look at Chris Perkins over the last 5 years, you can see a very unhappy. Now, let me just say this is my personal opinion. I have no idea on Chris Perkins' personal health issues, so do not take my word for it and go around going, well, the OGGM said that Chris Perkins is blah, 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 like he's a doctor. No. This is just my observation. I could be completely wrong. He could be the happiest rabbit on earth. My observation, my opinion, my warped sense of perception is that he doesn't look happy. He doesn't look healthy. He doesn't look like he wants to be there. He's rarely smiling. When you listen to him talk, he sounds like he's reading a script. There's no love and there's no passion. There's no excitement in him. He just kind of looks like a haggard prisoner of war. You can see him sitting there, and Crawford's always in the front, and Perkins is always a little bit behind him. Look at the placement every time they're interviewed together. And that's the Chris Perkins that made the little video that people are going was boring. But then you go to the live stream from the most recent PAX events or any of the previous PAX where he's doing the Acquisitions Incorporated stuff, and you can see how happy he is, how engaged he is, how healthy he looks, how excited he is. He's passionate about Acquisitions Incorporated. He's passionate about those live plays with Jerry and the Penny Arcade guys. He wants to be there, and you can see it. That's not the same guy that made that video that people are going, God, that was boring. God, that was sad. God, that wasn't anything original. And safety tools again. So I don't think Chris Perkins is happy. I don't think on some level he doesn't like where the direction is going, but he's a company man and he's gonna put on his hat and go to work because wants to keep a roof over his head, and he's gonna swallow his pride and he's gonna read the script. But behind the scenes, every now and then he drops a little bit of rebellion. And I think stepping away from the creative part is another way for him to just do another little teeny bit of rebellion, just another little teeny bit of separating himself. I mean, he can't be the only one who notices that whenever he and Perkins are on screen together, he's always a little bit behind Perkins. The camera's always a little bit more focused on Jeremy than it is Chris, though Chris is far more important to Dungeons & Dragons 2024, Dungeons & Dragons 2014, Dungeons & Dragons 4th edition than Crawford. Crawford doesn't do anything, and he's not that great of a DM. I mean, compared to Perkins running Acquisitions Incorporated, when Crawford was in charge of Acquisitions Incorporated, it went off on this weird tangent. That was one of the reasons why we lost Jim Dark Magic. I mean, it was just awful. Then Perkins comes back and takes over Acquisitions Incorporated again, and suddenly Jim Dark Magic's back, and the games are fun to watch. So in defense for Chris Perkins and how boring his latest thing looked, I mean, just look at the guy. Don't take my word for it. Just look at the guy. Look at the video he did for Wizards, and then look at the latest from PAX and the live play of Acquisitions Incorporated. They're two drastically different people. So that's my defense of Chris Perkins. It's not much what it is. But then again, I'm a member of the old school, so therefore I'm a communist, and I'm single-handedly responsible for the death of Dungeons & Dragons. But what can we do? The nonstop silliness from Wizards is going to continue. The Artificer is either going to appear in a surprise book next year or at the beginning of 2026. They'll have a brand new Player's Handbook 2, Unearthed Arcana 2026, with a whole bunch of new player character types as they ruin the Forgotten Realms instead of focusing on Minds of Fandelver universe or doing what they said they were going to do with 6th edition and make it world agnostic. Here's just some books to tell you how to run the game. Build your own worlds. And every year we'll do a splat book that focuses on one of ours, except Dark Sun. We're never, ever, ever going to do Dark Sun. And quite frankly, we didn't want them to do Dark Sun because it would be awful because they'd take all the things that Dark Sun makes cool away. Instead, it would just be, here's this healthy, happy desert where everybody lives in peace and harmony. And look at the little marshmallow rabbits and the little lucky stars, green clovers, purple diamonds, because that's what they do at Wizards.
Laughing aloud now, magic in the air. Wands swirl around us, cast away our care. Friends in the hallways, adventures we find. Spells and enchantments, trouble on our mind. That's so wizard, life is a spell we know. We're casting joy and glow, that's a wizard show. Mischief in the classroom, potions gone astray. Flying through the quad.